Hi, I'm Sarah McGinnis. I'm one of your lay delegates to the Southeastern Jurisdictional Conference.
And I'm Lesley Williams, another one of your delegates to the Jurisdictional Conference. We're here at Lake Junaluska, and you can see Stewart Auditorium behind us. We've already had a great couple of days. We started on Monday and Tuesday with the Committee on Episcopacy and the Nominations Committee doing great work. We look forward to hearing from them later this week. But last night, Sarah and I started with an orientation as first-time jurisdictional delegates. It was really helpful. Julie Hager-Love, who's the jurisdictional secretary, put a good program together, and so Sarah and I were very prepared for what to expect this week. This morning, also Tammy, who is the head of our delegation, gathered us all. We had a great meeting. She briefed us on some updates that we can expect, and we had a great first morning.
We also had our opening worship service this morning, which included quite a few members of the Kentucky Annual Conference. Shannon Boaz was one of the main worship coordinators for the service, and so we saw quite a few faces that we recognized.
Yes, John Denham and Esther Jodhov also representing Kentucky for opening worship.
Yeah. We had Lee Paget, who is the husband of Bishop Debbie Wallace Paget, who gave the opening address, but they're both Kentucky born and bred people that we love. And so
and then Bishop Fairley was the officiant over communion this morning. It was wonderful to see all the Kentucky folks.
A lot of Kentucky love this morning. Bishop Wallace Paget did a great message having us reflect on that same question that Jesus asked Peter, do you love me? And do we love Jesus, and are we willing to follow him? And I found it really encouraging, really inspiring. It was a really great worship service.
Yeah.
During our opening time together, once our business got started, we also heard a report from the Committee on Episcopacy. Originally, they had made a recommendation that Kentucky Annual Conference as well as Central Appalachian and Holston would share Episcopal leadership, but due to some circumstances that have arisen, they made a new recommendation this morning. And so what was recommended is that Central Appalachian Kentucky and Tennessee Western Kentucky would share Episcopal leadership. The Holston Conference will now be sharing leadership with the Northeast jurisdiction, and that passed with the body.
That did. We also heard from Bishop Ken Carter, who's the bishop of the Western North Carolina Conference, and he did a really wonderful State of the Church address for us. And he shared 6 questions that he posed to us. We didn't spend time talking about them as a group, but he put these questions to us, and I want to share those with you. He asked, what is the real data in your area? As you think about the context of the United Methodist Church, and then just the state of Kentucky, what's the real data in your area? He asked, in humility and without arrogance, what does our jurisdiction have to offer the whole church? In a renewed commitment to each other, how can we, as a different and more humble church, collaborate to make disciples? What does it mean for us to not avoid the work of overcoming racism? And in an honest posture towards the future, how can we share our resources so that no parts of the Southeast are abandoned by an Orthodox, inclusive, missional, evangelical, and future-facing United Methodist Church? And then lastly, he asked, how can we see the reforms of the 2024 General Conference, the fresh expressions of the church, the strengths of the Black church, the gifts of the younger, and the wisdom of the elders as good news? And so those were great questions, and they really set up what we're going to be hearing about later today. We'll be hearing a report from the Racial Bias Task Force. And this Racial Bias Task Force was commissioned out of a resolution that came from the 2022 Jurisdictional Conference. So we look forward to hearing their work later today.
Yeah. And you're also probably wondering, okay, if we're going to be sharing Episcopal leadership, who is that Episcopal leader going to be? We don't know yet, but we will know by tomorrow evening, and you guys will be updated at that point.